Welcome back to the garage today. We're back on the John Deere 40. Unexpected, but here we are. So, what we're going to be looking at on this thing today is the hydraulic pump. So, if you ever see your oil level rising, it doesn't smell like fuel. The seals in this thing, I guess, can fail, and it'll help. And as it pumps, it also puts hydraulic fluid into your crankcase. Now, I want to say first and foremost, I've never done this before. This will be my first time ever tearing into this. If anybody has any helpful advice or anything that I miss out that could be presented in the future, please don't be afraid to put it down in the comments. That way, if anybody else has the same question as you, maybe it'll get answered. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm hoping this video helps somebody out because I can't seem to find any answers that are clear online or asking in groups that are giving me the information that I'm asking for or looking for. And even trying to find an exploded view of a John Deere 40 hydraulic pump, you primarily find 40 series hydraulic pumps. So, Chester saying hello. Let's go ahead and let's get started on this thing. At least let's get the tin off so we can see everything that we're working with. So if you're somebody who's never taken a hood off of one of these, I'm really down to start as simple as possible in case anybody is in any normal situation. Your exhaust pipe has a clamp. Took that one off because that one can be a bugger. My best advice is tap at it up high, work it back and forth. Up high is more leverage than down at the bottom. That's also why I'm breathing hard, because mine was a little bit of a pain. These guys should just come off your air breather. Same thing with your oil fill. Gas ought to just be that one. I'm gonna wait on the radiator cap, even though it's the same thing. You're gonna have to pop it off to take off the tin. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get a screwdriver, pop, well, that one's missing. Pop all these guys loose. Hood should just come right off. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That one's broken, so 10. And the same thing's gonna be on the front with the same amounts. We're gonna say different amounts, but same thing basically the whole way around. So let's get to that. All right, let's see if we can find one that's not gonna be a bugger for us. Because, sorry, I'm trying to get my hands right. Just push and turn. It's loose. Same thing. Push and turn. Push and turn. And go to the other side. And just like that. Just make sure not anything's still hanging up like that one's trying to. I'd say we're loose. Let's get the hood off. Now what I do is I throw all these guys back on so I don't lose them and I don't got to worry about anything getting done. I'm not too worried about the exhaust if I'm being completely honest. Yet again, same basic thing. Make sure your tractor's not silly hot when you do this, because you need to take off the radiator cap, but same basic principle. Just spin them. I'm only seeing 2 on this front piece. Front piece, which doesn't seem quite right, but that's all I see, so. Hooked somewhere. I don't know where. Needs a little bit of help. There we go. And yet again, put the radiator cap back on so I don't lose it. Nothing gets in my coolant system. Now we can see exactly what we're going for. Wow, that's a lot of... I might need to look at my All right, my gearbox while I'm here. Yeah. So looking at this currently, I'm going to try my hardest to not remove the radiator, but it looks like I'll probably have to remove the radiator. I just want to be able to see everything. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have to remove the generator. And once that's out of the way, we can really see what we're working with. If the fan shroud itself could just come off, that'd be wonderful, but I don't think that it can without removing the radiator. And remove the radiator, gotta remove the steering shaft. So yeah, we'll see how deep we get into this. I'm hoping not too deep, but yeah, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Now one thing too, somebody might have saw sitting here at the beginning is this pump right over here. This is off of a John Deere MT. I have no idea if it's correct or not, but I have an MT that sits in my front yard, or a parts tractor basically. And it had a pump on it. So I figure once I get this one off, we'll see how similar they look. We'll kind of go from there. If it's like the MT, it's definitely not, because it just has bolts that go through the pump and hook it on, versus this one looks like it's got stuff down here. But regardless, let's get the generator removed and out of the way and get a better look at this thing. Well, I got that off. I don't know if this is normal or not, but I had a bolt that goes into this thing, which then screws in right there. Has a nut on this end. It's all green and it looks like it's done okay, but if that's factory, I'm surprised. Like I said, I'm just gonna hang that thing out of the way, see what I can see in here. Let me look at this for a little bit, get a plan of action, and see what we can do. Also, with the pump that was off of the MT, it is different. These pumps are M1769T, and these are, I think, what, M1026T, so they're not at least the same casting numbers, which makes me believe they're probably not the same part number. But once I get this one off, we'll see how many differences there is, because at least where the head lines hook up, they look the same, but we'll see. So now in short terms, to remove this pump, you've got these 2 lines and 3 bolts. Now, it's going to be very tough to get the camera in there. Hopefully somebody can see this in this book. Got to get this top bolt over here, and a bolt down here. To simplify how I'm showing that is, you see the through bolts on this one. You've got that one, and that one. Those are the 3 that hold this thing on. The rest of those bolts hold the housing together. Why this one won't fall apart, I don't know. I did find that I guess the MT will work even with different cast numbers, but this one, as you can hear, has a little bit of play in the shaft, which turning wise I wouldn't be worried, but it's up and down and side to side, so I'm worried those bearings in there might not be too good. So we'll get this one off, see what kind of shapes it in. Maybe it's just that seal. If you want to see an exploded view of this guy, that's the picture you're looking for. And the main things I'm suspecting would be this E and the F, which is a leather washer and an O-ring. So I'll leave that there for a second in case anybody wants to screenshot it or whatever they can do to see everything. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get this pump off and we'll see how it looks. So if anybody ever says you can't remove this without removing the radiator, you 100% can. Tools I used was a 1/4-inch drive. What size is that guy? Is that a 7/32? Well, that's a weird size, but had a 3/4-inch wrench for this top line. The 7/8 held this piece right here because it wanted to, just the whole line wanted to turn, so I had to hold that one tight. The bigger one that goes on here is 1.25 inches. The only other issues I had was just on the other side of that belt. I don't know where my light went. So that hole back there, the very back one, getting that one was a massive pain. Basically had to use my 1/4-inch ratchet bent all the way, use those needle noses to hold it, so that I could actually ratchet it back. And I only got 2-3 clicks at a time, if that. And massive pain. I would say if your tractor, even the slightest, think the coolant needs changed, pull that radiator. That would have had me done and pulling this thing off in probably 10 minutes. Instead, I probably just spent half an hour getting those 3 bolts out. But I haven't even looked at this thing yet. See, now there's all this oil right here, and that seal looks kind of tough. I would like to say, ooh, there's no shaft play side to side like the other one. And gears feel okay. What you're hearing right now is the oil still in the pump wanting to come out. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to get a new seal and O-ring, the 2 pieces that we talked about earlier in this exploded view, which are right there, that E and that F, which should be this seal and the O-ring behind it. I'll probably get both of those. And I might even just see if there's a kit that has this K in it, just in case I ruin those O-rings pulling it out. But to me, everything feels tight. Probably get an O just for that new bearing, or that new gasket if it's available. Real quick, I think there's a guy named like Farmer John's Tractors who apparently makes kits for these. I don't know about that. I'm going to go to local Deere and see what I can find. Today's Friday though, so it won't be till Monday I get there because I got stuff to do tomorrow. But yeah, Monday I'll go ahead and go there and we'll see what we can find. And then I'll go ahead and try to split this. I almost doubt, because of the shape of this, that you can just knock that seal out. Yeah, you definitely can't, because it needs a seal on the round surface, and this is bigger than that. Which means I guess this thing will have to come the whole way apart. So I don't know how that works. But I guess we're going to find out. Well, I guess I do know how this works. So there's a whole book right here that tells me how to do it. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and try to disassemble this once I get parts, and we'll see what we can do. Alrighty, so we got the parts for the pump from Deere. Honestly, price wasn't god-awful. Looks like it was $62.52 out the door. Took about, I think, 8 days. And that's counting a Sunday to get these parts in. So roughly, basically 7 business days. And that's also saying, not much happens on Saturdays. But anyways, what all I have here is this is a kit that they apparently sell. This is the AM1149T. This has both the O-rings, the main gasket for out here, and I'm not sure what exactly this metal ring is. If you're at Deere and you see, like, this is your normal parts breakdown, over here there's a little kit. Sadly, on their parts breakdown, these are numbers. In my book, they are letters. So I can't even give you a good idea as to what it would be. Now, clearly it's not E, which is a leather washer, but F is an O-ring. So what this metal washer is, I'm not 100% sure. Luckily, I think it was where the leather washer is, which is E, is one thing that they did not have. I wasn't sure if it was listed in with the packet of stuff, and I knew that was one of the things that I needed. Now, that is where this T56143 comes into play. I believe that is the leather washer, and not, which is E over here, and not F, which is considered the O-ring. Theoretically, I don't know. We're going to open this up and we'll see what is what, but those are the part numbers and the things that I got. Do you necessarily need that? No. I got the kit because I thought, hey, these O-rings that do the sealing surfaces on the main surfaces, they're from the early to mid 50s. If it's never been opened up, they might be pretty brittle. That's why I got those. You probably don't need it. Hell, you probably don't really need the gasket if yours is all right. And I don't even know what this metal ring is. I don't see it on here. But I guess we'll open it up and we'll see what happens. Regardless, I just realized I have talked way too much. Hopefully this information actually does help somebody. Let's get that torn apart. One thing I will say prior to, that is an oil pump. It should have oil in it. When I open it up, oil is going to go everywhere. If you decide to do this and you don't want oil everywhere, put a pan down. I might look for one for a few minutes. If I don't find one, I'm not that worried about it either way. Regardless, I've been talking too much. Let's get into it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out all these bolts. Not sure if there's one right there or not, but I'm going to find out, I guess. Yeah, there is. So I'm going to get all them out first, and then we'll probably get oil everywhere. So if you're wondering, oh, that's tight. So if anybody out there is wondering, my voice crack couldn't have been at a better time. Yeah, I got a haircut and I shaved actually. And I was just thinking, man, wow, that's tight. I probably look like a teenager again. And of course, as I'm thinking that, that's when my voice decides to crack. You know what? God made power tools. Why don't we use them? Welcome to the 21st century. So hopefully nobody gets upset with me for doing this, because I'm going to use this mallet, and we're going to see what happens if I pop this thing apart. It's what the book says. Don't hate me. Let's also hope it works. I wish I actually had a brass hammer at the moment, but I don't. So, see if we get this thing to pop or not. And it actually tells you to hit it differently than I'm doing it, but... And I can tell you what, it's about to be not soft hammer time. Well, we're getting some separation. There we go. She wasn't too bad. Other than that, there's dirt in there. But I probably should have cleaned it off beforehand, but here we are. So yeah, that's pretty much it once you open it up. And I hope that was stuff that just fell in. Doesn't really look metallic-y. Gears all look good. Bearings feel good. That dirt just fell in. So I'm going to try to get you guys set up, I think. And we'll see about pulling these guys off. Actually, this is the only one I got to mess with. This one I don't have to really mess with much. I just got to get this clip off and then pull the shaft through that way. So let's get you guys set up. Well, I really wish I had a better angle for you guys, but I don't. That's just kind of where I am with stuff. I got a little tripod thing, but I don't quite know where in the world it went. This thing's a Jesus clip. If you know what that is, well, you know. This is the O-ring. This thing's pretty hard. We might reuse it, we might not. I'll think about that. This gear should just come right off. Come on. It's being ornery. Here we go. If I don't drop it right now. Okay. So, the weird thing about this is this has two keyways, and there's only one key. I can say too, I don't see any form of timing marks on this anywhere at all, which I guess is a good thing. I mean, she'll just plop right back on there, no problem, right? So now let's get that Woodruff key out, which you guys can't see, but that's pretty simple. Set it off to the side. We ought to be able to just, right there she is. It's your shaft, which she's got a little bit of wear, but I'm not thinking anything too excessive. So let me clean my hands real quick and I'll get you guys to show you this O-ring. And honestly, I don't think I'm gonna need most of what's in that package, just because I'm not splitting it here, and that would be the other place that I'd need the O-ring for right here. And I still have no idea where that metal ring goes. So yeah. So you can see just below that bearing there's an O-ring. Let me make sure that bearing feels good. So that's the one that is in this package, I believe. This is the T56-143. That's what's going to be going down in there. Like I said, there's that other package that has the gaskets and stuff in it. I don't know what that is. I'm probably actually not going to show you guys having me fish this new O-ring in, just because I'm going to probably fight it. And it's going to take longer than it should. But I just take a pick like this, fish down in there, don't mess up your bearings. Get behind that O-ring. And pull it on out. Actually, it just split and broke on me, so it must have been getting pretty brittle. But yeah, and then I'm going to go ahead and compare this O-ring to the O-ring that Deere got me, just to make sure everything's the same, because there has been part number changes since this thing was made. And yeah, we'll just go ahead and, oh, it's a very, very hard O-ring. So we'll just make sure things will work before we go back together. Plus, I need to clean this thing off. There's a lot of dirt on this right now. So I'm going to do that all real quick, and I'll get back to it. All right, so sorry I keep coming back and not being productive yet, but this is actually a very good piece of information to know. So apparently this T56-143 must be the new version of the leather washer. And that's important because the O-ring F, which is what I pulled out, which is what I assumed was in that bag, is not. If you look down in there, you can see parts of what was one of these, which was considered the leather washer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fish this guy down in there, then get an O-ring. Luckily, I had an O-ring somewhere, because there is no O-ring in this bag. Really, if you don't need these O-rings or that gasket, this kit's about useless. Unless somebody knows what this metal ring is for, I have no idea. I can't imagine that is their replacement for a leather washer, because that just doesn't seem like a good idea to me, I guess. But maybe it is, and maybe I'm doing this almost the incorrect way. I don't know. We will find out. So I'm going to go back to getting this back together, and then we'll get back together once this is all thrown on there. Just figured I'd start this up real quick to show you. This is a really good shot of, you can see what is allegedly the leather washer, which is that, like I said, the T5614.3, and then the O-ring right behind it where I have that in there. So that being all said, I will actually clean this thing up, throw it back together real quick, and I guess we can get it back on the tractor. So some of the things I've learned putting this back together, the shaft damn near snaps in once you have it pressed in all the way with your hand. A few little things are, be easy on the brake clean with all these rubber O-rings. Depending on the type of O-ring, they may not jive well together. The O-ring that goes between the two mating surfaces, I wasn't in love with the John Deere one, but it's in there because this one's got cracks in it, I found anyways. It's not thick enough, in my opinion, to cover the whole gap. Another very important thing is when you're tapping this thing down, you have these pins that help you line everything up. Do not hit the crap out of this thing because the alignment pins might be good, but your shaft going back into your bearings could be off kilter just a smidge. So be careful on that for sure. Also, being easy on the brake clean, I was using towels, or I'm going to call them towels, so I can't think of the right word. Anyways, but even with these, you want to be a little bit careful that you're not just sitting there scrubbing on it, or else the material will flake off, then you'll have a bunch of white junk in there, which also could potentially plug something up. But if we're being completely honest, this is a very, very simple pump. It has enough, the gaps in there are big enough, it'd probably force everything through that I just cleaned out of there. But regardless, don't take that chance because one little slip up like that could destroy your bearing, those little needle bearings, and then you're in this thing again. And these pumps are not cheap. That's why I'm contemplating to rebuild that one entirely too. Just because I know they're not cheap, and if I don't ever want to buy one. I think the prices I saw were like $400. It's from the 50s, but they're not making them anymore. These are used ones that people have rebuilt. So regardless, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing slapped on there, and we'll see how we did. Maybe tomorrow. I got to get hydraulic oil because it does say in the book directly, do not run this pump dry. How do you get oil in it? I don't know. Maybe I'll put some in there prior to putting the lines back on. Then hopefully it can do the rest itself. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing on and we'll see what we can do. So I got the pump back on the tractor. Everything's connected except for this line. Like I said, I'm going to put some hydraulic oil in it before I try to run it. One very good thing to try to do if you do this the way I did is the top bolt's the easiest one to get, one of the easier two to get to, and that's the longest bolt. So I put it on there, I started it, and then I got the bolt that is, see if I can get you light, right there. That one's the second easiest one to get to. I started that one and then had to rotate the engine until the gear on here lines up with the whatever else over here. There's basically male or female fitting. I call it a fitting, but it's more like a gear, a driven and a driving type gear that mesh together. Once I got those two together, I didn't fully tighten it. Then I got the other bolt that's back there that's a huge pain to get in because things are all in your way, but it's a lot easier to put in than I think it was to take out. And then once that was in and I knew the gears were meshed, then I tightened everything up. Like I said, I got the gear meshed before putting the third bolt in. The best thing I did is when I was trying to fight that top bolt, take a screwdriver, just a real long one, and then just push yourself up with here, push it up right here, and then I kind of can use my arm, my legs, something to kind of steady it and still have both hands. And then from there, I was able to get the second one started pretty easily and then tighten everybody down. I'm not sure if I ever said it or not, but that is a 7/32 Allen head. So I'll probably wait till tomorrow. Hopefully I get time, and I'll put some oil in there, fill that thing up. I'll probably have to drain the engine oil because there's a ton of oil in the engine oil, but I might at least start everything up, make sure we function first, and then go ahead and get that changed. And yeah, got to get through a carburetor after that. But hey, this video is about this, so let's keep on moving. Probably see you guys hopefully tomorrow. All right, so we're all back together now. Let's start it up and see how stuff works. I did just start this thing because I changed the oil, which reminds me I do need to check the oil again because I just topped it back off. And we're right actually at perfect, so it's not important to this video. It's kind of running like crap though because like I said, the carb does need gone through. But the way I'm going to test to see if this hydraulic pump is working is if it'll pick up the 3-point. When I pulled it in here, it wouldn't do that anymore. Ignore the mess. That's because I don't have a funnel. So we're neutral, power, we're choked, gas, and here we go. And let's see. So this was wet before, because like I said, I did put some oil in there prior to, which actually what I did is I put some oil in that, and then I spun the engine a little bit to make sure the pump was full. A few little things. There's been a lot of few little things in this. Hydraulic oil, don't even ask people about it. The book says SAE 10 weight oil. Some guys online say they run SAE 30 weight oil. Sorry, it's hot out there, not as hot in here. Some guys say they will have a leak, so they'll run SAE 90 weight oil. I think that's wild. And some guys will say they run John Deere High Guard Low Visc or John Deere High Guard Plain. And some guys run the cheapest stuff that they have at the parts store, farm store, whatever they got. That's why I don't give a really recommendation on what you should or shouldn't run, because it sounds like about everything works, do different things for different applications or different problems. For me, I'm that guy buying that cheap stuff at the farm store. But that's what I've always ran. That is what works for me. I cannot say I recommend it. That is not what the book says. However, that does currently work for me. This is a tractor that also has issues, and clearly I just had to rebuild the pump, so take my advice as you choose. But yeah, this actually isn't a bad job for somebody. Other than I'm going to go through the carburetor now, because as you can tell, its startup was fully choked the whole time it was running. I think there's a jet that's probably clogged. But regardless, not important for this video. Maybe the next one, though. So yeah, if you guys... Honestly, every form you find on one of these things is probably 5 to 10 years old at this point. One thing I wouldn't hate doing, and like I said, I make these videos in order to hopefully help somebody out there. If somebody wants to start a conversation underneath this video to make it like a forum standpoint for these tractors, I'm perfectly fine with that. Go for gold, man. I said, I'm just here to help. At least show somebody what I can figure out, and hopefully it helps somebody eventually. So, there's something else I was going to say, but I think I've said enough, so that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching. Till next time.